Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mupo and Friends.
We are Jessilyn Pearson.
And I'm Michele Mupo.
We're brought to you by Mupo TV.
And you can catch all our shows at www.mupoentertainment.com.
And you can live chat with us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel during the premiere of each episode.
So tune in Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Who knows? If you come in on the chat, you may be able to talk to a celebrity. And believe me, they've told us things that no one has ever told. They've never said it on any other shows before, but they do open up to us at Mupo and Friends.
They sure do. Thank you for tuning into our show where we love bringing you awesome celebrities and entrepreneurs you want to know. So Michele, have you had a Mupo awesome week?
I did have a Mupo awesome week. Obviously, we're moving forward with Mupo, and we have shows coming on board that I was really surprised. We're really blessed right now.
100%. I am super excited with some of the people we've onboarded recently, some that people will know once they see them live. So that's really exciting.
Yes. So did you have a Mupo awesome week?
I sure did. It's always awesome when I can get out for a date night with my husband, considering we have two little guys.
Nice. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mupo and Friends. Our special guest today is a stage and screen actress who's done everything from soaps to sitcoms to role-playing games. She's been in recent hits like Grace and Frankie, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Modern Family, and in old favorites like The Sopranos and All My Children. She has her own web series on YouTube and has made watching someone else play an RPG even more fun than being in the game. Please welcome Anjali Bhimani. Hi, Anjali. How are you?
Hi,
Anjali. Great. So I have to say, I don't know. I was loving that. That intro made me feel so good, but I can't possibly say that watching me play an RPG is more fun than playing the RPG, because playing the RPG is pretty damn fun. So, but I highly appreciate that. That was a very generous intro. Thank you.
Now, Anjali, you've done a lot of work in a short period of time. Do you process, do you have like a specific process for choosing your projects that you do, or like do you turn things down, or do you?
I do now, mostly just because of time constraints, more than anything. And sometimes things are just like the circumstances of something might be prohibitive. Obviously during COVID, there were certain things that we couldn't do. Yeah, what is my process for choosing things? I mean, there are three criteria that I usually think of when I'm looking at a project. It's, who am I going to be working with? Is it people that I admire and people that I really want to work with? Like that will draw me into a project for sure. Is the role and the quality and the script and everything something that I really want to be a part of? And then of course you have to look at the financial realities of things. And usually if 2 out of 3 of those are there, I will highly consider doing it. No one does theater for money, but obviously I've done a lot of theater, and that's because I love it. And I always get to work with incredible people. I always get to meet people who I end up having lifelong friendships with. So it really does just depend on the circumstances of the project, the script, who's working on it, what I'm looking to do at any given moment. I've been very, very lucky that I'm able to work in so many different media, in so many different ways, in plays, and musicals, and TV and film. And so sometimes it's whatever I'm jonesing to do at the moment. I might go through phases where I'm like, I kind of feel like doing more of this, or I kind of feel like doing more of that, or, ooh, I'm missing theater, or, ooh, I'm missing this, or whatever. Although lately there's not a whole lot of opportunity to miss something, because there's been a lot of variety. So yeah, I think those 3 criteria are the main ones. I think those 3 criteria are the main ones that I really look at, and then just try to determine it from there.
Awesome. So going from understudy to actually playing the role is a dream come true for an actress. How did it feel when that happened to you with Andrew Lloyd Webber's Bombay Dreams?
I mean, it was like you said, it's like a dream come true. I mean, it was my second Broadway show, but my first big musical, because I had done a play called Metamorphoses a couple of years before that. And the show itself was such a big, incredible, like celebration of Bollywood and celebration of our culture. And the beautiful gal who had come over from London to play the role of Rani, Aisha Tharkar, was so fantastic. So when she left and they asked me to step into her role, I sort of didn't like, I couldn't give myself credit for it. Like I couldn't really, I couldn't, I don't know how to put this. I came up with every reason in the book besides, hey, you're good and they want to use you. I came up with every reason in the book for why I might have been moved up. Oh, you fit the costume. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's because of this, rather than just owning like, hey, they maybe want to, maybe they actually like you in this role. And so it was, like you said, it was a dream come true. I mean, the role itself is such an incredible, fun, cheeky, snarky role. I got to enter by being lowered from the rafters on a moon and singing in this incredible, costume. So yeah, it was magnificent. It was absolutely magnificent.
Now you've done a lot of stage work. Would you be, revisiting that medium in the future?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, the only reason that I haven't been doing a lot of theater again recently has been time constraints with other projects that conflicted, but it's never been my intention to not do theater. I don't think up through 2017, I think I had done a play every year of my life since like 7th grade, if not 3 plays or 4 plays.
Wow.
At least. And so 2000, if I'm clocking this right, 2017 was the last play that I got, that I did a full run of. I've done readings of plays and stuff like that, but being able to get a full run in, I did a show called Orange at South Coast Repertory, which was really, really special, by Aditi Kapil. And I absolutely 100%. Theater's not getting rid of me that easily. I love it too much. I love it too much.
So how did you get involved with filming role-playing games like Undeadwood and Exandria Unlimited? And are these totally unscripted?
Yes, which is amazing. So how I got involved was, backstory, when I was 8 years old, my brother bought me a basic Dungeons and Dragons set. He played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. He bought me the basic set. I fell in love with it. I absolutely just devoured all of it. And then I started playing with the advanced rules, the grown-up rules, the 13 and up rules. Just played and played and played. I had a group of friends that I played with pretty much all the way through high school. And then just because of college and time constraints and all of that, I ended up moving from playing actual tabletop role-playing games to playing RPGs on the computer. So it was still in my blood. Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy and all of that stuff was still in my blood. But coming back to it was a relatively recent thing. When Overwatch came out, which is one of the video games that I'm in, I got to meet my co-star in the game, because we have there's several people playing heroes, Matt Mercer, who I met him and his wife, Marisha, who are both the crowning glory, the king and queen, if you will say, of Critical Role, which is a company that obviously has made their mark in the world by streaming these role-playing games, playing Dungeons and Dragons and other things. And Marisha connected me with someone named Ivan Van Norman, my dear terror monger, because he plays lots of games that scare lots of people. She connected me with him because he was doing a new show for a channel called Geek and Sundry. And the new show was called We're Alive Frontier. It was set in the zombie apocalypse, as it were, using a gameplay system called Outbreak Undead. So that was my first foray back into role-playing games. I mean, so many years later, right? But the cool thing was, it doesn't really leave you how to play. You get a little bit nervous about, I need to know the rules and the game system. But the great thing about role-playing games, especially when you have a great game master like Ivan or Matt or Abria, who we have in Exandria Unlimited, or Brian and Undeadwood, a really great game master cares more about the story and the enjoyment of the players than necessarily all of the game mechanics. So Ivan taught me early on, he said, don't ask permission to do things because I'll probably say no. But if you tell a really, really good story, I will probably try to find a way for you to at least be able to roll to see if you can do the thing that you say you want to do. And so it becomes this wonderful long form improv that we're all doing together, that we're all really committed to. And because I am, I don't want to say I'm a serious person, but I take my fun very seriously. If I'm going to have fun, I want everybody to be in it. I don't want people to just be screwing around. And with all of these, I mean, sometimes screwing around is part of the being in it if you're playing a certain kind of character. But with all of these shows and all of these, what they call RPG entertainment, with all of these shows, it's been this great combination of getting to enjoy creating the story and improvise and have these deep, deep, deep moments. And also at the same time, getting to enjoy the creations of the people you're with. So you're doing a little bit of both. And like I said, it's long form improv, except you're not getting your suggestions from the audience. You're getting your suggestions from the game master and from the dice. You can try to do anything you want. We'll see if the dice will let you. That's kind of how that works. So it's really magical. I cannot tell you. I hope that everyone gets a chance to try it at least once, because I think it's a really powerful experience on multiple levels to be able to get a chance to play an RPG.
Now you talked about Overwatch, like you did the voiceovers on that, and on the video games. Do you think, do you plan on doing voiceovers for like animation, like Disney and stuff like that too?
I do already, yeah.
I do already. But I mean on the video game part of it. Because don't they do video games too? Like where they have like little games outside on, I know I see them on Facebook and
I do basically whatever people pay me to do that's legal, which means I do a little bit of everything.
My type of girl. All right.
Yeah. I do video games that started out as original video games. I do video games that are derived from an existing property. I do animation. I do basically voiceover covers pretty much anything that you are doing where you are only the only part of you that is heard is voice. And it actually now covers mocap too, motion capture. So there is some facial recognition and motion. There is physical acting.
3D? You mean in the 3D animation? That's pretty cool.
That's true. So you said you work meticulously. Can you elaborate on what's involved in that process?
Yeah, it really depends on the different projects, to be honest, because, I don't believe as an actor, you have one process, you have a set of tools. And I think that's true for any craftsperson or any artist. Right? You have a set of tools and how you use them is your artistry. And learning what tools to use and when is basically how you learn to be an actor or learn to be an artist or learn to be a musician, learning all the different ways that you can approach something. So it really depends. Like I said, really depends on what the medium is that I'm working in. It depends on what the role is, depends on what the project is. A lot of people ask me about specifically about learning lines, and because that tends to come relatively easy for me. And I don't know if other people work this way, but I know I do. I like to learn the thought process of the character before I worry about the lines. Like I'm definitely reading them and learning them, but as I'm reading a scene, I am trying to clock what thoughts are making that person say this, or what are they reacting to that's making them say this, that's making them do this, that's making them react this way. Because, when we're talking with each other in real life, we're not just speaking lines. We are speaking things that came into our head. We're speaking because we're reacting to something either in our environment or the person across from us or something that's going on in our mind. So for me, I find it much easier to memorize lines once I really have a sense of where I think the thought process is going. And the cool thing is that because even in real life, your emotions are really driven by what you're thinking. The emotional life of a character tends to come through much easier and much more organically for me because I've already established what I might be thinking, and the thinking of like what that thought process is and what that thought is really what triggers that emotion in that given moment. So that is one chunk of a process. Now it also it depends on, like in theater, you've got 4 to 6 weeks of rehearsal. In voiceover, you get the lines when you show up. So sometimes the process is very, you really get to dive in and do a lot of experimenting. Sometimes the process is you're experimenting in the moment. In which case, you just get really comfortable not knowing what's coming. You get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You get comfortable with the unknown. And the more you do things, I think this is true again for life in general, the more you do things and survive them, let alone succeed at them, but just basic survival, the more you have faith that nothing is going to kill you, and therefore you can move on and take chances and all of that. So my process has become a lot less thought out and specific, and a lot more just like, let's see what's going to happen here.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Mupo and Friends with Anjali. Please explain EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and how you use it to keep grounded.
Wow, what a pull. You guys did a deep dive. I really appreciate that. You did a deep dive into the stuff that I've put out there. So I learned about EFT from my dear friend, Kathleen Campbell Stone. And I am not an EFT practitioner. I am not an expert in it. So I am not necessarily someone who should be speaking about it. But basically, it was a modality of energy work that was created by an engineer, I believe, in order to, the goal of it originally was to help soldiers recovering from PTSD to release trauma, right? But a lot of people use it for other purposes, to release emotions, to release stress, to handle physical ailments or anxiety or any number of things. And like any energy modality, there's an element of woo-woo to it, and some people think it's ridiculous and that it doesn't do anything, and some people think it's everything. I'm one of those people that if it works for you, it works for you. And for me, it happened to be something that works. And it's worked too many times without me believing in it for me to not believe in it now. I guess that's the best way to put it. So it's basically, a lot of people call it tapping, because it's a tapping technique where you tap on a variety of energy centers and tap on a variety of points on your body while saying certain things. And it's not like spell work or something like that. Like, you're just basically talking to yourself. It's not that woo woo. But the combination of what you are saying to yourself and saying it in your own voice, which is a little bit to what you were saying earlier, Michele, about like your voice has resonance with yourself. I do my own affirmations for myself, or just, I'll record myself talking to myself at various points in my life when I'm feeling particularly inspired, to be able to go back and remind myself, hey, this was you felt this way. So with EFT, your own voice combined with tapping on those energy centers can produce a lot of different shifts. I find, as an actor, I find it very useful in calming nerves. If you're having any kind of stage fright, or if you're having nervousness before an audition or anything like that, I've actually used it. I mean, and again, this is one of those things where I am not a doctor. I just play them on TV. I am not giving medical advice, but I have used it in certain incidents where I've hurt myself and I needed to calm myself down before I knew I could even heal from that. And it has helped. So it's really, I encourage people to look into it and decide whether or not it's for them. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Some people love things like Reiki. Some people love acupuncture. Some people have all sorts, everybody's got their things. But if you have a bone sticking out of your leg, you got to go to the emergency room. It's not something like that. It's not that powerful, but it might help you calm yourself down while you're on your way to the emergency room.
Interesting. I wonder if it'll take away the trauma memories. Totally.
This is definitely something that it is used for. And I would recommend anyone who wants to learn more about it, just go to my friend Kathleen Stone. She's at inlivingharmony.com is her site. And you can find her on Clubhouse and you can find her all over. She's magnificent. And she's one of the reasons that I was so drawn to her, because I met her at a particularly low time in my life. And I had met a lot of coaches and energy workers and healers and all of this who were just so airy fairy, head in the clouds, that I couldn't buy it. Because my parents are both doctors. I need a little bit of science. You got to help me out here. You got to work with me. You got to have your feet on the ground. And Kathleen, she lives in Jersey. She's feet on the ground, head in the clouds. That's the way I love it. Like she can see the potential in everything, but she also knows you got to get up and do the work. And that to me is the magic combination. Because like in anything, meditation or affirmations or gratitude practice, all of these things are so, so wonderful, but ultimately we still live in a practical world, and so we still have to get up and do the work. You can't just think your way into earning $1 million or losing 20 pounds. It helps, but you can't just sit there on the couch and dream your way into it happening. And so that's one of the reasons why I really, among many, many, many reasons that I love her, is that, ultimately she's the gal who's like, look, nothing's going to work if you don't get up and do something about it. So let's use this to get you in the right state, to get fired up, to go do something about it, whatever that something is. I
love it. And she's from New Jersey. Go figure. Yeah. Got the same attitude as me. You could do anything, never doubt yourself. And you got to take action. That's what it's about. Mm-hmm. It kills me because there's people out there that feel that they are useless, and they really are. They're not. You know what I mean? It's just them.
I do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Go ahead.
I do think, it's hard for many reasons. It can be hard because there are people out there who just never doubt themselves and have that innate confidence within them. But I feel like that's not the majority of people. And it can be overwhelming when when any of us talk to someone, whether it's an inspiring speaker or it's a life coach or it's a therapist or anyone, when we speak to someone and they're like, you got to be just positive all the time and you got to do this and you got to do that, because for some people that's not realistic. It's not an option. I have doubts about myself. I have doubts about myself on the reg. I pursist past them. I do my best to tap on my shoulder and tell that little voice in my head to fuck off. Oops, I'm sorry. I just realized
you can definitely say that. That's great.
I'll have to tell it like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're feeling this right now, but it's just a feeling. It's not the truth. Look at the evidence in your life, whatever it is, or sometimes you have no proof. Sometimes you have no proof of the thing that you desperately want to create being an option. And so you might be fettered with doubts. And the key in that moment is to care more about the excitement. I think to care more about the excitement for the thing that goal will create in your life than the fear of what might happen if you fail. You have to find a why that is bigger than your fear for whatever it is. It can be something, it can be a small goal or a seemingly small goal to other people that feels like a mountain to you. And I think while, it is important, very, very important to stay positive and to lean into the light, I think it's also important that we realize that you don't have to be perfect at it. You just have to be a little bit better than the day you were before. A little bit better at leaning into the light, a little bit better at being more confident, a little bit better at pursuing the thing you care about, just a tiny bit, because those tiny shifts, those build the momentum. And then you start seeing results of it. And once you see results, it's, you're off to the races. Because as soon as you start seeing how powerful that can be, you get addicted to it.
And people that are listening, I tell them all the time, you got to make mistakes, because that's how you're going to learn by them. And you know what? The other thing is about, when you doubt yourself, don't. Because I know it comes down from when somewhere in childhood, when you were a child, somebody put that subliminally in your brain to have you think that. And you know what the worst part about it is? We are all special. And we all have the ability to be great. We just have to keep pushing action. Keep pushing action. And I say it constantly because people, what else do I say in our meetings? I mean, we have a whole crew that like I do this thing called Rock the Mic, and I teach people how to overcome their fears. Like, listen, I was assaulted, and I could talk about it now like it's nothing. But let me tell you something. There was a time where it irritated me and I was angry, and I can't get angry. I have to be thankful, because it's all about the mindset and how you get that mindset, to overcome your fears. And it's just, my goal has to scare me in order for it to be a goal.
Oh, there you go. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
I also like one tool that Kathleen uses with me a lot. Or used to, because now I don't really talk this way anymore. But when I used to say something to the effect of, yeah, but that's not possible, or yeah, that's not going to happen, that's not a thing, she'd be like, okay, but just what if in some magical world on a different planet in an alternate universe,
I love it,
if it were possible, what if? She would say, what would that feel like? Just imagine. And I'm an actress, this is my job to imagine all that. And just that shift of like, okay, if it was possible, this is what it would feel like, gives you, puts your brain on the right track rather than thinking of all the reasons it isn't. You start to lean again, like baby steps, tiny little steps into that right direction, and then it can just be really fun. Because really, I've actually been working on a book about this. A lot of the things you learn to use as an actor to create a character or to build a story or whatever, a lot of those things are actually really, really useful skills to have in creating your own abundant life. We hear there are a lot of catchphrases out there right now, manifesting and abundance and all of this stuff, but there is something to stepping into the role of you when you have the thing, before you have the thing, stepping into the role, living into that reality a little bit. If I was XYZ, what would I walk like? What would I feel like? What thoughts would I be entertaining? Who would I be spending time with? What would I be reading? What would I be eating? All of those things, that's a fun game to play with your imaginary future self, which might not be that far in the future. Because that's the really cool thing about, the universe is like freaking Amazon. You ask for it, it shows up. It might not show up exactly when you want it to. It might not be like Prime Now delivery all the time. Sometimes there's some stuff in the way, but it shows up. You just have to order it. But part of the ordering process is actually stepping into the joy of what that thing will bring you. It's not about, I want $1 million. It's like, okay, great. You want $1 million, but why? What exactly do you think that $1 million will create for you? Is it just to be rich and powerful and lord it over people? Probably not a great thing. But is it because you can feel yourself being bigger and more generous and being able to do things with it that excite you? And for me, it's producing more TV shows and being able to hire more of my friends in said TV shows and being able to do, all those things. That's the excitement. The money is just a tool. The goal itself is just a thing, but your why is the gas that runs that engine.
Amen. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, I gotta meet Kathleen. She's fucking dope.
I definitely want to meet her. So we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back after this.
back with Anjali. You were in the film Evil Eye, co-produced by Priyanka Chopra Jonas. The story involves some cultural superstitions. Are you superstitious?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, I have touchstones, which I think everybody does, things that make me, that connect me to certain aspects of myself. I like my things that remind me of something, like I have a coffee mug collection from all over the world. And every time I choose a mug from a certain city, it reminds me of that place. And then I have that feeling. And so I have that kind of a connection to things. But as far as superstitions, it's not so much my world. I wasn't raised in a family where that was a big thing either. My mother in particular was traditional in some ways, but mostly very, very, both my parents, they were just very, very open-minded. They offered up, this is our culture, this is our religion, this is everything, but you do what you want with it. And if you want to know more about it, please talk to us. And here are all these different ways you can learn more about it. But you got to make your own decisions, which is great, which is a really lovely way to be able to come to your own culture. Because I don't think kids anywhere do well with things when they're forced on them. I think they lean the other direction, right? So I got a real appreciation of the spirituality that was, imbued within me without a sense of fear and without a sense of dogma. I was very, very lucky that I'm incredibly lucky to have the family that I have on multiple levels, but that was one of them.
Nice. Now, you did a lot of charity work during the pandemic. Can you tell us about that? And what are your favorite charities?
Sure. I mean, the pandemic started, and obviously, there were so many people in need in so many ways, and always have been, regardless of the pandemic, right? Pandemic shows up, and then all of a sudden it's thrown into relief who is in immediate need. And because my work slowed down, it did not stop because I was still doing lots and lots of voiceover, thankfully, from home. But because work slowed down, since I'm incapable of taking any time off ever in the history of my life, that's not true. I have taken vacations in past years. And I just came back from one right now, which was sort of forced, and I made myself work during it. Anyway, I don't know why I'm going off on that tangent. I very much wanted to use the time that I had to be able to help other people, right? So some of my favorite organizations, I love the Actors Fund and the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. I love, love, love them. When I was in a particularly difficult period in my life, the Actors Fund came through for me, and they have so many fantastic programs. For dancers and actors and theater people and stage managers and whatnot. I think for stage managers, I shouldn't speak out of turn. I'm not entirely sure. So I love the Actors Fund, love the SAG Foundation. They were doing great work for people who, obviously couldn't get on stage for a very long time. And it's just barely coming back now. So that is one of my favorite charities. I love anything having to do with dogs because I'm obsessed with dogs, especially my own dog. So Much Love Animal Rescue is one of the organizations that I like to do a lot of charity work with because they brought me my dog. And by proxy with them, Best Friends Animal Society. And then through, obviously there were several COVID-19 relief efforts going on all over. And in particular, most recently, I and my friend Lucy Pohl, who is a castmate of mine from Overwatch, we connected with an organization called Give India to help raise funds for Indian COVID-19 relief efforts. Because obviously, if you've watched the news at all, you see how bad the second wave hit recently, and it's just been absolutely awful. So, we all, because the world is much smaller now that we have the internet, it's a lot easier to connect and make a difference. We see suffering far, far away right here on our screens, and it can do one of two things. It can either make you more compassionate or make you more inured to it. You can shut you down. And I never want to be one of those people who is only concerned about what is around me. It's overwhelming to try to help everyone, and no one can, but we can at least do something. And the cool thing is, with the internet, you don't even have to be giving your money. Your time, your voice, your signal boosting, all of that is so powerful. just spreading the word about things, about fundraisers, about charities, about things that are going wrong, is a very powerful thing. So yeah, I try to do, I feel like the best possible way there is to get one out of your own head and your own struggles and your own anything that is negative in your life is to reach out and take care of other people and to be of service in some way or another. And that's basically why I do what I do. It just happens to be my weapon of choice is performing. But your passion isn't necessarily your purpose, right? Your purpose is the reason you choose whatever your passion is. And so it's been, while I can't say in any way that the pandemic has been good, I can say that it has been helpful to continue to remind me that my purpose is way bigger than anything that I do by myself.
Yeah, that's great. So what advice would you give to those starting out who'd like to follow in your footsteps?
Don't follow in my footsteps, make your own. But seriously, like first of all, and this speaks directly to what you just said, and in those specific words, if I had known when I was younger, if I had been able to say to myself, stop focusing on all the things you aren't that you wish you were, and start focusing on the unique things that make you who you are, because those are the things that are going to make you happy. They're going to make you successful. They're going to find you love. They're going to give you a sense of belonging. All of that stuff is going to come from celebrating the individual uniqueness in yourself. And I don't mean celebrating like running around bragging about who you are. I just mean leaning into it. You know, when I was younger, I grew up in Orange County, California, and I was very insecure about my looks. I was very insecure about being this little Indian girl, not because other people said anything, but because I was the only person at my school who really looked like me. And if I had leaned a little bit into, hey, you're different in a really cool way, if I'd been able to lean more into the confidence that would have lent me, you know, I mean, I definitely had my own style and all of that, but I think that strength can empower so many people. You don't, you know, if there are things that you want to improve about yourself, great, but don't do it because you see someone else and think you have to be them, because you absolutely, not only do you not have to be them, you absolutely have to not be them. You can only be yourself. And so let's figure out who that is, because without you, there's this beautiful, very long quote. Agnes DeMille and Martha Graham there was a letter between them. And in the quote, it says something to the effect of, your job is not to judge your own art. Your job is not to decide whether it is worthy or not. Your job is just to make it, because without that unique expression of yourself, it will never live in the universe ever, because you're the only you we have. So don't keep that from the world. And that, I think, is the biggest thing. Following in my footsteps literally means go with the flow in your own life. Because I just said I said yes to a lot of really cool things, and a lot of really cool opportunities presented themselves. I failed at a lot of things. I just kind of found my own path. And anytime that I was trying to follow someone else's path, I was miserable. And I couldn't enjoy, you know, I couldn't even enjoy my own success because you're too busy looking at someone else's. So, you know, and also I would say, especially if you are going to be an actor, studying literally anything will help you on your path. Developing yourself as a human being will help you on your path. So find the things you're excited about and learn about them. Learn how to learn. Be an excited lifelong student. You know, I'm still trying new things and starting new skills at this age. I imagine I'm going to be doing it till I'm 90. Because it's just fun and it gives you more of this experience in life. So engage life and lean into who you are, not who you think you're supposed to be.
Awesome. Now, what other projects are you currently working on? And do you have
the challenge of the world right now is that so many of the projects that I am working on, and many actors run into this problem, that's why I say the challenge of the world, is that we are not allowed to talk about so many things that I am working on right now. Actors are working on, but you still can go back and watch me on Exandria Unlimited with Critical Role, playing the illustrious Fierakai Sorry, Fiererai. Fiererai is her sister. Playing Fiererai. And you can see me on Netflix's special, which its second season is on Netflix right now. You can go back and watch Evil Eye on Amazon. There are so many places. And then you can find me online at all of my socials. It's Sweet Anj with 3 E's. And you can check out I Am Fun Size, which is my web series, which is all about essentially so many of the things we talked about today, about leading a really big, full, exciting life, even when you're pushing through life's challenges. What are the different ways? Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV, but I do have a unique set of experiences that I can share with people, and a unique set of tools that I can say, I don't know if this will work for you, but this is how I dealt with a situation that was similar to that, or this is how I deal with these feelings or this circumstance. And there are lots of guests on there too that you may recognize from television and voiceover and all over the place. So it's a fun series to check out. So just follow me on the socials, and I'll someday be able to announce all of these projects that are coming out.
Right on. Okay, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the conclusion of our interview of Anjali Bhimani.
And we're back with Anjali. So before we wrap up, we have one last question. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask, and what would the answer be?
Wow. No one has ever asked me that question before, and my brain is exploding. What question, if I were interviewing myself, there are so many things I want to share with the world. Are we talking about some deep thought question, or just like some random, like, what do you like for breakfast type question?
Well, obviously we want deep thought.
I would ask me, I don't know. For an hour, like we've been talking for an hour, and it's the first time you've stumped me. And one of the questions you already asked me is what advice would I give to my younger self, which I think about on the reg. I think about that a lot, and I remind myself of that a lot. What do you think? What exactly do you think is the reason you became an actor? That's what I would ask. And I would say, early on, I didn't realize that this was the reason. And now, like in the last 5-10 years, looking back, I can finally see it. I've always been a particularly emotional person, for better or for worse. And once I found acting, I realized that there was a use for this kind of vessel that did all this, that felt all of these things so big. And I was very lucky because my father and my mother actually met acting in medical school, which is a whole other story. My dad was a big feeler as well. He felt deeply, big. And so there was always a lot of freedom to express your emotions in a big way in my family. But it took me a long time to really understand that for me, and this speaks again to that Agnes de Mille and Martha Graham quote, she says, there is a blessed unrest for all artists, and no artist is ever satisfied, right? But for me, when I get to be in front of an audience, or I get to be on screen or whatever, I get to reach out to an audience member, whether literally or figuratively, and say, I got you for the next 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, however long we are together. I'm going to take you on a ride. I'm going to take you, you're going to have this incredible experience that you possibly couldn't have in your own life. It might be fantasy fiction, it might be drama, it might be comedy, it might be whatever thing, but you get to step out of your own life and into this one that I'm going to create for you. I'm going to go through all of it. I'm going to go through all the hard stuff. I'm going to experience it. I'm going to feel the feels. You are going to walk out of here with your life intact. You get to go back to your life as it was before you came, but having the experience of experiencing that with me and through me. And so, especially when people are trying to work through difficult things in their life, and maybe something in a play or something in a show connects them to it in a sort of diagonal way that they didn't expect it to, and suddenly they start being able to see it through a different lens. Like, that's such a powerful thing. Storytelling in that way is such a powerful thing, and there's a reason it's survived over thousands and thousands of years. Storytelling and theater and the sharing of myths. It's because we need that. We need that catharsis. We need that connection. We need that way to learn about ourselves. And so I'm really, really grateful that even though I didn't really clock that was literally the reason I did it, it's made more and more sense to me over the last decade. And that's what has made me realize that, wow, I'm really lucky, because somehow, some way, I really aligned my passion and my purpose together. If I wasn't an actor, I probably would have chosen something else that I still would have been trying to do the same thing and helping other people find their superpower and work their way through tough things and get the things that they want. I get excited for other people finding those things. I just happen to do it by pretending to be other people for a living, and taking people on these rides. So yeah, that's why I'm an actor.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a treat visiting with you. Look for Anjali on her official YouTube channel, Sweet Anj with 3 E's, where you can find her web series, I Am Fun Size, in Evil Eye on Amazon Prime, the 2nd season of Special on Netflix, Modern Family on Hulu and Peacock Prime, and the RPGs Undeadwood and Exandria Unlimited on YouTube's Critical Role channel. You can also look for her in the upcoming movies SEAL Team and Underwater Upside Down. You can follow, like, and subscribe to Anjali on Facebook under Anjali Bhimani, at Sweet Anj with 3 E's on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and at her website, www.anjalibhimani.com. As always, thank you for tuning in to Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. You can watch this show and others at www.mupoentertainment.com. That's www.mupoentertainment.com. This is Jessilyn Pearson with our host, Michele Mupo. Until next time,
have a Mupo awesome week.